There is a stillness that settles upon the world in the hours just before dawn, a time often called the witching hour. For centuries, this slice of the night, suspended between midnight and 3 a.m., has been steeped in superstition. It is a time when folklore claims the veil between our world and the next is at its most fragile. While the term once conjured images of spectral rituals and roaming spirits, for many today, the witching hour is something far more personal, a quiet, cavernous space where grief feels sharpest and the echoes of memory grow deafeningly loud. Across cultures, this period has been marked as a time of supernatural potency. In European lore, it was when unseen forces were believed to hold the greatest sway. The great playwright Shakespeare referenced it in Hamlet, painting it as a time of ghostly visitations and secrets from the grave. But beyond the realm of myth, there is a profound psychological truth to this late-night vulnerability. In the profound quiet, with the day's distractions stripped away, the mind is left to wander through its own unguarded corridors, and it is here, in the dark, that unresolved feelings, especially the profound weight of grief, often rise to the surface, demanding to be felt. For those who have experienced a deep loss, the witching hour can become an unwelcome yet recurring appointment with sorrow. The structured routines of daily life serve as a bulwark against overwhelming emotion, but at night, that fortress crumbles. The absence of a loved one becomes a physical presence. The silence in the house is no longer peaceful. It is heavy, articulate, speaking of what is gone. This is not merely poetic, it is physiological. As our bodies prepare for rest, the increase in melatonin can affect mood regulation, and when coupled with fatigue, it leaves us susceptible to emotions of staggering intensity. It is during these hours that many report vivid, almost tangible experiences involving those they have lost. Some describe the distinct feeling of a presence in the room, or the phantom sound of a familiar voice just on the edge of sleep. Science may label these as hypnagogic hallucinations, sensory mirages that occur as the brain transitions between wakefulness and sleep. But for the person experiencing them, they can feel like a genuine connection, a final message, a brief, impossible return. The witching hour, then, is a crossroads where folklore meets neuroscience, where personal history collides with the present moment. It is both a curse and a comfort, a stark reminder of loss, but also a testament to a love that time itself cannot erase. It was an ordinary afternoon, quiet and unremarkable, until the phone rang. But this was no ordinary call. The display might show a string of zeros, or perhaps the chillingly simple phrase, "unknown number." When the receiver is lifted, there is a pause, a brief, unnatural silence that feels older and deeper than simple static. And then a voice speaks. This is the impossible call, a communication that, by every law of physics and technology, should never have been possible. These are the chilling footnotes in the history of communication, stories that surface time again, each one more baffling than the last. Consider the report from 1969, when a woman in Chicago answered her phone to hear the unmistakable voice of her mother, who had passed away years prior. The voice delivered a short, comforting message before the line went dead. Phone records showed no incoming call. The system had no memory of the event. Yet the woman insisted, until her dying day, that the experience was undeniably real. Or consider the aftermath of the catastrophic fire aboard Air Canada Flight 797 in 1977. In the hours following the tragedy, which claimed 23 lives, several grieving families reported receiving phone calls from their lost loved ones at the precise time the disaster unfolded. The calls were filled with static, faint whispers, or in some cases, a single familiar goodbye. Once again, telecommunication companies found no record, no glitch, no explanation. What makes these calls truly impossible is not just their eerie content, but their complete defiance of the digital architecture of our world. A phone call is a structured event. It requires a source, a destination, a carrier signal, and a digital footprint logged in a system. These calls, however, seem to materialize from the ether, leaving no trace, no data, no rational explanation. In 2011, after a devastating earthquake and tsunami struck Japan, this phenomenon was reported on an unprecedented scale. Hundreds of survivors received missed calls from friends and family who had perished. The calls originated from numbers that were disconnected, from phones that had been washed away or crushed beneath rubble. When answered, there was only a profound silence, or sometimes the faint, distorted sound of a voice calling from an unimaginable distance. Experts have offered theories: network glitches, delayed signals, power surges replaying old voicemails. But these technical explanations crumble under the weight of the call's emotional precision and perfect timing. Skeptics suggest they are the products of a mind reeling from trauma, a desperate attempt to manufacture closure. But for those who have stood in their kitchen and heard a voice they thought they would never hear again, no amount of skepticism can erase the vivid, terrifying reality of what they experienced. Each impossible call is a ghost in the machine, a message from an unknown sender that forces us to question the very boundaries between life, death, and the technology that connects us. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, lightless chasm. Now, imagine a voice calling out from its depths, a sound that is mysterious, haunting, and strangely compelling.
This is the voice from the abyss, a powerful symbol that echoes throughout human history, representing not only the great unknown, but also the profound truths and dire warnings that emerge from the deepest parts of our experience. In the cosmologies of ancient civilizations, the abyss was the primordial chaos from which all of existence was born. For the ancient Greeks, it was the void, and a voice from that void was a message from the beginning of time itself. In Mesopotamian myths, the abyss was the source of all life. To hear its voice was to receive wisdom from the very roots of the world. As humanity developed complex systems of faith, the motif acquired even greater weight. In religious texts, the abyss is often a place of confinement, a realm of darkness and judgment. In the Book of Revelation, a voice from the abyss heralds apocalyptic events, a final, terrible warning to all of humanity. Here, the voice is imbued with an otherworldly authority, an unstoppable force that is both feared and revered. It speaks of an inevitable truth, a reckoning that cannot be avoided. Literature has long used this concept to explore the unlit territories of the human psyche. The works of Edgar Allan Poe are filled with voices that seem to emanate from the edge of sanity. In The Raven, the bird's single repeated utterance of nevermore is not merely the cry of an animal. It is a voice from the abyss of the narrator's own unraveling mind, a relentless echo of his grief and despair. The abyss becomes a metaphor for the hidden depths of our own consciousness, and its voice represents the truths we are most afraid to confront. Even modern psychology recognizes this archetype. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the repressed, hidden parts of our personality, as a personal abyss within each of us. To confront one's shadow is to hear a voice calling from those depths, a voice that may warn of inner dangers or urge a journey of self-discovery.
That confrontation, while often terrifying, is essential for growth and transformation. But the voice from the abyss is not always a harbinger of doom. For some, it is a call to adventure, a spark of divine inspiration. It is the artist's muse, the inventor's sudden insight. Yet, when it manifests through a telephone line, distorted by static and grief, it is no longer a call to create. It is a call from a darkness that has latched onto sorrow, a primal void that has learned how to use our own technology against us. Some things do not tire, they do not sleep, they only pursue. This is the nature of the relentless pursuit, but it is not the pursuit of a noble goal or a creative breakthrough. It is the hunt of a predator, an unwavering, unblinking force that, once it has your scent, will never stop. And as it closes in, it does not simply break your spirit, it breaks your reality. The assault begins by turning the familiar into the alien. The phone, a tool of connection, becomes a conduit for terror. It rings when the battery is dead, when the SIM card has been ripped out and thrown across the room. The screen, once a smooth pane of glass, spiders with cracks from an unseen impact, forming a web to trap your gaze. This is where the boundaries of the physical world begin to dissolve. The entity's pursuit is so single-minded that it imposes its will upon the laws of nature. A text message appears. It knows you are alone. The notification arrives with no signal, no network connection. It is a message delivered not by technology, but by pure intent. Then the phone speaks on its own. No call connected, the voice of a loved one spilling from the speaker, twisted and corrupted by static and a wet, gurgling sound. It is a voice made of memory and malice. This is the second stage of the breaking, the corruption of what you hold sacred. The final stage is the invasion of your sanctuary.
You lock the door, but you hear a scratching from the other side, or worse, from inside the wall beside you. A shadow moves in the periphery of your vision, too quick to be real, but too clear to be imagined. The air grows cold, thick with the smell of decay and sterile hospital corridors. The phone, which you hurled against a wall in a final act of desperation, lies shattered on the floor. But it is not dead. From the splintered screen, a thin, black slime begins to ooze, a substance that is both liquid and solid, a physical manifestation of the abyss itself. The relentless pursuit has reached its conclusion. It has broken through the digital world, through the laws of physics, and now it has broken into your home. Reality is no longer a reliable construct. It is a fragile cage, and the thing that has been hunting you is now inside with you. When the screaming stops, a different kind of horror begins, the silence. The aftermath of such an event is a landscape of profound bewilderment and quiet dread. Law enforcement arrives to a scene that makes no sense. The apartment is pristine, undisturbed. There are no signs of a break-in, no evidence of a struggle. The phone sits on the nightstand, new and unscratched, its screen glowing softly. But the person who lived there is gone, vanished. This is the point where a rational investigation collides with an impossible reality. Detectives retrace steps, interview friends, and search for a logical explanation. The last person to see the victim alive recounts a frantic, whispered story of a phone call, of a voice from beyond the grave, of a warning. The story is dismissed as a product of grief-induced psychosis, but the evidence, or lack thereof, tells a different story. The phone records show a single missed call at 2:47 in the morning from a contact labeled Mom +1. But the number is an impossible string of digits, untraceable, belonging to no network on Earth. Days turn into weeks.
The search widens, then falters. The case grows cold, leaving a permanent scar on the community. But the true aftermath is not in the police files. It is in the chilling artifacts left behind. It is in the single, pristine phone that seems to mock the investigation. And in some versions of the tale, it is in what is found days later when the missing person's friend returns to the apartment with the police. The victim is still gone. But on the floor, in the corner of the room where she was last seen cowering, is a small, dark puddle of viscous, black slime. And the phone, which was once pristine, now has a single photo on its screen. It is a picture of the victim, her face a mask of terror, looking directly into the camera. And standing behind her, a figure with her mother's face, but with eyes that are nothing but black, empty voids. And so the legend solidifies, crystallizing around a single, chilling detail, the +1. This is not the +1 of a wedding invitation, a courtesy extended to a guest. It is a designation far more sinister. It is a marker, a sign that what has returned is no longer alone. The urban legend offers a terrifying explanation, a set of rules for a game you never wanted to play. They say the +1 is not a country code, not a contact suffix. It is a countdown. It represents the one extra minute of life you are granted. A minute you will spend in a living hell before you are taken. The legend whispers that your own voice is the first to make the call, dialing out from the other side, from the grave, a desperate preemptive warning to the ones you love. Your own ghost calling your mother, your father, your child, pleading with them not to answer when their time comes. But grief is a powerful, irrational force. And when the phone rings at 2:47 in the morning, and the name of someone you have mourned for weeks, for years, flashes on the screen, logic vanishes. Hope, however desperate, takes over.
But if you answer, the legend concludes, your loved one does return. They come back for you, but they are not who they were. They are merely a vessel, a familiar face worn by the thing that brought them back, the thing from the abyss, the +1. It is a parasite of sorrow, an entity that latches on to love and uses it as a key to unlock our world. It waits patiently inside you, and every night at 2:47, it remembers your number. It already knows your address.